Hey out there, fourth grade. This is Mr. Kowalski bringing you a little bit of asynchronous music time for today. So we're going to get a chance to check up on this video and watch and do a little bit of follow up with a lesson we did earlier this year. To start out this year, we started out talking about a couple of new songs we did this year called spirituals. There was a song we sang this year called This Train. Remember that one? This train is bound for glory, this train. You remember that one? This train is bound for glory, this train. Right. We talked about that song earlier this year. And there was a second spiritual we did this year. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, Lord, I want to be in that number when the saints go marching in. And we sang those two songs earlier this year, and we realized they went into a category called spirituals. Now, when we talked about spirituals before, we said the spirituals were slave songs that the slaves used to sing many, many, many years ago. But a lot of times those slave songs had religious meanings that went along with them. The slaves were religious people, many of them were. Many of them believed in the Bible. They believed when they died they would go to heaven, right? We talked about that earlier. They believed when they died they'd go to heaven, and they were actually looking forward to going to heaven. Because when we talked about slavery earlier this year and a little bit last year in third grade, we said slavery was really tough for those individuals. Those slaves were oftentimes treated very, very badly. They were physically treated badly, mentally and emotionally they were treated badly. They were separated from their families and friends. They were forced to do work on these big farms, these big plantations, and oftentimes they were not treated fairly by the people that owned them. Now, again, we talked a lot about slavery and talked about how it was just messed up. Remember, we said that a lot in class. We always say, that's messed up. Every time we'd hear something about it and a fact about it, we would say, man, that's just messed up. Well, we got a chance to sing these songs and share a couple of these songs to really talk about how the slaves used these songs to give themselves hope. Hope of getting away from slavery, hope of escaping that life. Now, whether that hope came from them passing away and going to heaven as they believed, that would be a relief and a release from the slavery that they were suffering through, or if it was more here on earth where they were escaping slavery and getting away to freedom. Remember, sometimes in those songs they use secret code words to talk about escaping and getting away someplace to freedom, starting a new life as a free person. And we said it was very risky, very dangerous, because they could always be tracked down or chased down by their owners. And if they were caught before they got to freedom, then the punishments could be pretty severe. Well, earlier this year, we sang This Train is Bound for Glory. We sang When the Saints Go Marching In. Today, I want to share with you a story called I Want to Be Free. And it's going to follow a lot of the same themes the spirituals go along with. Now, this one isn't a spiritual in itself, but we'll see how this slave here is very brave and takes a chance and escapes to freedom. But along the way, he runs into some dangerous situations and finds a little bit of help that he wasn't expecting. So let's check out this story called I Want to Be Free. It's a story by Joseph Slate and E.B. Lewis. Joseph Slate's the author, and E.B. Lewis is the illustrator. It's called I Want to Be Free. Before I die, I want to be free. But the big man says, you belong to me. There's the slaves and their owner says, you belong to me. I own you, right? Like we said, that's just messed up. I try to run. I want to be free. But they drag me back. And here I be. He takes a ring and clamps me round, gets up a chain and binds me down. Big man's whip whistles with fear. But I hear one tune, run away from here. I break the chain, but I have no key, and I can't force the ring. It won't come free. I hobble off, and while I run, I thank the Lord that he's hidden in the sun. Before I die, I want to be free. But the big man says, you belong to me. I find a camp of gone free men, other slaves who've escaped. They're happy for me, but it's not the end. Big man has dogs. He has a gun. So we gather our gear and get ready to run. They work at the ring, but it's no use. There's no way it's gonna come loose. Before I die, I wanna be free. But the big man says, you belong to me. Deep down in the bush, I hear this crying. It's a little tiny child who's close to dying. I pick him up, but the others say his mother's long gone and he has to stay. Let the big man come and take him back. He has the farm, food that we lack. Oh no, I said. We'll run to the wild. I'm gonna take care of this child. Before I die, I wanna be free. But the big man says you belong to me. I take cow's milk and I gather fuel. I take field corn to make us gruel. The ring burned fearsome and burned my skin. But there's no way I was going to give in. And that's how we got to the land of the free. But the ring was still a sorrow to me. So they got to freedom. They got to a home that helped them get to freedom. One day my child looked close at the ring and said, Papa, Papa, what is that thing? So I told him the story of those dark, dark days. He touched the ring and it fell away. Tears welled up and fell down my face. I saw my child lit up by grace. How, dear child, did you set me free? You took care of me. You cared for me, he said. The end. It says love can bring freedom. And that's the story, I want to be free. Again, kind of goes along with those things we talked about earlier this year with spirituals. Talked about those slaves who, as much as they sang these songs about wanting their freedom, wanting to get away, they would hide these messages in their songs. Remember when we talked about this train is bound for glory, this train? We said that this train going to glory was a code word. It was a code phrase, right? They said glory was a code word for, anybody have to remember? Glory was a code word for heaven, right? And heaven was that secret hidden word for freedom. So those slaves who would say, I want to ride on that train to go to heaven, were really saying, I want to get out of here. I want to escape. I want to ride and get to freedom. Just like this brave slave here in this story did. It says he wanted to be free. He wanted to get away. He wanted to go to freedom. And he took that chance and ran away. And I thought that story would be a great story to tie in with those stories. And also looked pretty dark, looked pretty scary for a while. But then it ended up being a really kind of satisfying ending. He got his freedom and he broke away that chain. Well, he didn't break away the chain. Who broke the chain away? The child that he saved, right? He saved that child and raised that child as his own child to take care of his child. Told him the story of how they escaped. Told him the story of getting away to freedom, even though they were chased. Even though that big man was coming with the dogs and the guns. They were brave and they followed their way all the way through the Underground Railroad to get to freedom and start their new lives together free. So I wanted to get a chance to share that story with you. Again, review a little bit of those spirituals. Maybe this year we'll talk about some other ones along the way. But I hope you really enjoy the rest of your asynchronous day, the rest of your day off of school, and hopefully we'll see you guys back at school really, really soon. So until I see you guys again, have a great rest of the day. Bye, guys.